As an American, I eat apple pie, play baseball under its blue skies. As an American, I travel this land and follow her roads wherever I can. From sea to shining sea, I've seen a lot, and none of it will be forgot. And when my country called, I gave my all as an American. I was born into freedom in a wonderful land of mountains and plains, rivers and lakes. Forever American is what I am. A past as rich as any can be. My father's worked hard to give this to me. I love this place I come from. To live another way I cannot foresee. As an American, I eat apple pie, play baseball under its blue skies. As an American, I travel this land and follow her roads wherever I can. From sea to shining sea, I've seen a lot, and none of it will be forgot. And when my country called, I gave my all as an American.
Good evening, good evening, good evening, everyone. Hopefully everyone's having a great night tonight and had a wonderful 4th of July, because we know everybody deserves that. Hi, Luke. Hi, Debbie Rogers. Hi, Debbie Martin. Hi, Tam. Hi, Rodney. Hi, Nana. Hi, Tia. Hi, Pam. Please hit that share button and that like button when you come in. Definitely helps us out. We definitely need to hit that share button, because not everybody's getting notifications, obviously. I want to thank you, Tia, for that $25 donation. Thank you very much for that. Definitely appreciate that by a lot. Hi, Dan. How you doing tonight? Hit that like button, please, and share. Got a lot to talk about tonight. First, we're going to talk about where World War III started. At this point, it's anybody's guess. It's going to be either Taiwan, of course, or over Ukraine. Right now, we know that both sides, Ukraine and Russia, are accusing each other of planning an attack to use the world's largest nuclear power plant. But neither side has provided any evidence to support the claims of any imminent threat to the facility in southern Ukraine that has been occupied by Russian troops, but has been withdrawn from. Let's be honest. The dam got blown. They still blame Ukraine. Ukraine has nothing that benefited from this. Or Russia did not benefit at all from the dam blow. The power plant blowing, of course, again, Ukraine would benefit greatly from this. Russia would not. This is a very intense situation, which, bringing everything into account, coming on the 11th and the 12th is NATO summit, bringing Ukraine into the fold, which we already have statements from multiple countries that if any nuclear radiation or nuclear terrorism were to occur within Ukraine, that they would call Article 5 and get involved, even though Ukraine is not a NATO nation at this point. I mean, this is a serious concern. World War III is definitely on the table here. Of course, any expression of Article 5 or the EU or NATO moving in would cause massive devastation, because Moscow would not stand for it. Ukraine has alleged, recently that Moscow might try to cause a deliberate leak in attempts to derail Kiev's ongoing counteroffensive surrounding the power plant. But at the same time, that doesn't make sense because Russia knows what it would mean. It would mean World War III, which would mean pretty much destruction for it and other countries. I mean, to be honest, Russia doesn't want to lose and have large portions of the property blown up. Ukrainian authorities already accused Russia of blowing up the dam last month with similar aim. Well, of course, Moscow is blaming Ukraine for its destruction. Here's what we know for sure about the dam blowing up. We know that lots of ammonium nitrate went missing off of a train here in the U.S. Lots of it. Not a little bit. A lot of ammonium nitrate. Then magically, a Ukrainian plane flies into a base in the middle of the desert in California overnight, takes off. Nothing scheduled for them to come pick up was there. There was no weapons delivered that day, nothing delivered to Ukraine. Now, the bridge explosion looks like an explosion done from demolition. Ammonium nitrate is used for demolition as explosions. We know that. The dam looks like it was demolished with demolition explosives. The way it blew, the rate of intensity, and the structural damage that was done to the dam wasn't just a bomb aimed at it, obviously. So we can't for sure say that we gave ammonium nitrate to Ukraine to blow up the dam and blame Russia. But damn it, anybody looking at the situation with any set of eyes and any kind of ingenuity would see what's happening. Of course, everything that's happening at this nuclear power plant now. We know Russia ordered evacuations to happen by today. They all have happened. And Russia, hundreds of local people. So, what's going to happen with this nuclear power plant? I have a feeling it's going to get blown in the next couple of days. Whether it's by air, whether it's by Russia, whether it's by Ukraine, I don't think we'll really know the truth. Let me make sure I remain extremely clear about this. I don't think we will ever know the truth of who blows the nuclear power plant. I think no matter what, they're going to blame it on Russia. I know that for a fact that that's the plan. Of course, when this does happen, it's going to cause Article 5 to be called into action. And of course, then we'll be at war with Russia directly. No more of this side skirting or using a middleman as a war like Ukraine. And it's going to be catastrophic. The provocations of what's going to happen when this does happen will be extremely great. So the theory of sabotage by, of course, Kiev's regime on the power plant is a definite fighter for this one. No problem. If you guys are not getting notifications, please send me a message privately and I will send you guys notifications. I have a chat going to make sure everybody gets it. But this situation is getting tense. And this situation is getting tense not just in Kiev or near the power plant. A man, of course, detonated explosive devices at a court in Ukraine's capital. Today, a man detonated explosive device at the capital, the court in Ukraine's capital city died after barricading himself inside a part of the building. The Interior Ministry, of course, is preliminary information so far. 2 members of a special rapid response security force unit were hurt during the attempt to bring the man under control. 2 loud noises were heard during the incident. Of course, the man had presumably died from the explosive device that he, of course, blew up. But we are seeing now this wasn't a Ukrainian national. He was part of Ukraine's National Guard. Before this, he was attending a hearing in connection with the deaths of 4 Ukrainian National Guardsmen in 2015. After the hearing, the man said had first locked himself in a bathroom and tossed an explosive device at 2 guards. It's crazy, absolutely crazy that we can see there's obviously political problems in Ukraine. Obvious political problems, and they're not going to get any better. They're going to keep getting worse as we keep going forward and discovering more corruption, of course, that has happened within Ukraine. We know about corruption going on in Ukraine with the United States. But that's not all. Taiwan is in a provocation right now. Taiwan's impossible choice is to be Ukraine or Hong Kong. Let's be honest. Taiwan is drawing 2 opposite lessons from Russian invasion of Ukraine. Taiwan's reservist and reserve military training this year. People in Taiwan are following the war in Ukraine, but drawing different conclusions. It's either one, they become a Ukraine and keep fighting against China for as long as they can, or become another Beijing. Sad fact is, I don't think either way they will prosper. Showing what's been happening. I mean, China's now accusing the U.S. directly and saying this is a provocation of war, that the U.S. is turning Taiwan into a powder keg. Of course, with its latest sale of military equipment to Taiwan, the United States is obviously turning Taiwan into a sub-state of China and no longer following the one China policy, no matter what our politicians are saying. With the latest sale of $440 million in military equipment to the self-governing island. Now, we claim it's self-governing island again and again, but we adopted China's one China policy. United States representatives are still saying we still abide by China's one China policy. And Taiwan is part of China. But yet U.S. ignores China's core concerns and crudely interferes with China's international affairs or internal affairs. This is an international affair. This is an internal affair. And we're deliberately escalating tensions across the Taiwan Strait. Why? Why are we doing this? China has claimed Taiwan as its own territory for a long time. It doesn't need to be conquered with forces. They could just send troops there to reinforce their territory. But of course, the United States is trying to now push it as a separate territory while speaking of one China policy that it maintains still. U.S. maintains the one China policy under which it does not recognize Taiwan, formally independence, and has no formal diplomatic relations with the island. Nevertheless, the U.S. is still trying to say it's a credible defense for Taiwan, and the U.S. will treat all threats of the island as a matter of grave concern. I'm sorry, but there's serious problems going on in the United States. We're fighting wars that we shouldn't be involved in. This whole Taiwan thing, it's going to get ugly pretty quick, especially now that we have the new TSM chip factory here in the U.S., and Japan plans on taking over the other chip factory and building one in Japan. So there's no reason for Taiwan to exist. The United States senators, certain senators, have already said, why not just bomb Taiwan and destroy the semiconductor plants? That's what they said supposedly we would do if there was a war. That's ridiculous. Literally. Listening to this, I mean, this is going to cause more problems. China, of course, is staging a 3-day drill, large-scale drills around the island itself. And they're coming up soon. Of course, today, 29 aircraft and 4 Chinese Navy vessels were detected around Taiwan. I mean, are we going to keep saying we believe in China's one China policy out of one side of our mouth and the other side arm them to fight against China themselves? We're arming a civil war and a major superpower nation, a nuclear nation at that. This is ridiculous. We went after Russia for doing this, starting civil wars. We went after Iran for starting civil wars. We went after Saudi Arabia for starting civil wars. We went after even England starting civil wars. Yet we're doing it ourselves now. This is the sad part of democracy that shouldn't exist anymore. I mean, democracy doesn't exist in Ukraine. Ukrainian president is now a dictator. He suspended all elections, all governmental concerns. People need to wake up. It's not the only problem we're facing. We look around now, Google's AI has control of all of the internet. It now belongs to it. I hate to say it. It's the truth. Google's latest update on its privacy policy makes it so the company has free range to scrape the web for any content that it can benefit building and improving its AI tools. So that means Google's user information to improve its services, develop new products, features, and technologies and benefits for users and the public. The new Google policy, for example, will use publicly available information to help train the AI module, which basically means everything, because everything is technically public in one shape, way, or form or another. This is crazy. Making Google basically the next Skynet. Nobody's actually looking at this because there's so much other stuff happening. But when you allow an AI full access to anything on the internet to benefit building itself, including language models, AI models, cloud computing for AI, translations, and collection of data, where does the AI get its rules from? If it's allowed to do anything at once, there's serious problems. And the aforementioned wording seems to describe not just those in Google's ecosystem in the way, one way or another, in details such the brand could have access to information from any part of the web, not just themselves. Major issues surrounding this massive development of AI are questions about privacy, plagiarism, whether AI can dispense correct information. Earlier versions such as ChatGPT are based on large language models already used by the public sources, such a common web crawling archives as WebText 2, Books 1 and 2, and Wikipedia as training data. Now they're having the whole entire internet as training data for Google's BART. I mean, this is real world and potential real world problems and potential real time as we're watching this. Social media platforms, including Twitter, Reddit, and Facebook, all sources of up-to-date information, are already trying to limit their public access in the wake of course, AI chatbot popularity. But the problem is there's only so much you can do. Only so much can be done. And this story, of course, got buried today because of everything else that's happened, especially finding cocaine in the White House, which is utterly ridiculous. And of course, they need to push this as far as possible to find out whose crack cocaine was it? Why was it found in the White House? Everybody goes in and search except for the president's family. We don't know any crackheads in his family, right? Well, the Secret Service are being pressed for information on the ongoing investigation of the reported discovery of cocaine, or crack cocaine. White House press secretary told reporters that the substance found in a heavily traveled area of the West Wing, where visitors and staff routinely pass through, Yeah. They routinely pass through without going through any kind of search. The dogs that are right there, the canine screenings, and all those didn't catch cocaine because obviously the person that went through didn't go through the security checks or canine screenings. Let's be honest. It's a joke if you think they did. Secret Service, of course, has encountered illegal drugs in the White House complex at least 5 in the last 5 years. Whether they exercise their ability and make arrests of the suspect is identified as another question. So even if they know Hunter Biden used crack cocaine and brought it in the White House and accidentally dropped it, they're never going to do anything because the Secret Service has the ultimate law enforcement inside the White House. Of course, they serve the president. This is ridiculous, honestly. If this was President Trump in the White House, you guarantee somebody would already be arrested and the heads would be rolling. They would try to blame Trump himself for using. Of course, the White House isn't just facing that as problems right now. The backlash for restarting interest on student loans has been firing off on all cylinders. The White House facing major backlash on its decision to reactivate or interest on student loans as part of the on-ramp repayment program. Of course, people saying it's not enough to help struggling borrowers. Right now, the problem is we can't afford anything. Our country is in serious turmoil. Our deficit continues to grow. Our bills aren't able to be paid. We're having to borrow money year after year and pay interest almost half of our total income for the country. It's ridiculous. Of course, Biden's administration is trying to appeal orders barring talks with social media companies. That came directly from the Supreme Court. Once again, Biden fighting Supreme Court. Not a big issue there. He just fights every single thing the Supreme Court says. Of course, the judge that said that Biden officials can no longer contact social media companies relating any manner of removal, deletion, or suppression or reduction of contents containing protected free speech on social media platforms. That's what should be happening. The government should not in any way be able to impact your free speech in any manner. A district judge writing this order, of course, and the federal courts upholding it, limiting Biden's administration and communications with social media companies. Of course, Biden can't take that. Biden's administration is going to appeal this order because they don't think it's right. They think they should be able to limit what is said between people having general conversations about what's happening in the real world. This is crazy. The administration said it's a blow to their efforts to combat disinformation. But we already know disinformation is just another thing that they want to say, we lie, and we're going to tell you this lie, and this is going to be the only lie you know. We go back to the Biden Hunter laptop story. Social media banned it off their platform because the government said it was a lie. We all know that's not true now. We all know that the laptop's real and it was Hunter Biden's. And it contains a plethora of information. Collusion with social media platforms to identify disfavorable speakers and viewpoints and content. The DOJ, the FBI, and Health and Human Services, and the Biden administration itself all want to keep that control, so they can direct exactly what they want people to hear and cease relevant communications of anybody else. Disagree with somebody is one thing. but to straight out ban with what they have to say, the facts and the knowledge that is out there and the truth is ridiculous. We've been banned off of so many platforms, it's not even funny. Having to restart again and again. Of course, the Democrats despise democracy and despise the Supreme Court at this point. Feel free to disregard all the Democrats' hypocrisy or hypercritical warnings about the current threat to democracy. The 9-justice system of the Supreme Court that operates pure as a democracy, as one will find. Yet for years, Democrats have been berating and attacking the court, undermining the very constitutional foundation and 7 of the justices' personalities. If you like democracy, you should love the Supreme Court. All 9 justices appointed by elected presidents and confirmed by elected senators are equal. This includes the Chief Justice, whose office allows for certain limited leadership decisions. All the justices have been voted, have one vote, regardless of their age, gender, expertise in a particular matter, before the body. As in a good democracy, the justices are free to do their best to sway the vote of their colleagues in an effort to create a majority. Sometimes they succeed. Also, in any good democracy, one or more justices may concur with one side, but for different reasons. Of course, when some voters in 2021 presidential election voted for Joe Biden, while others voted for Donald Trump, voted against Donald Trump, the results are the same. Biden received the vote, regardless of whether voters' reasons for voting for him. Another important, crucial to the well-functioning democracy is that in the high courts, freedom of speech thrives. Each justice has the freedom to express his or her views, either by written in the court's major or minor opinions, or concurring opinions. And justices and their comments can be very critical of the opposing side. That's the reason we have a Supreme Court. Yes. I want to know how a male to female trans can breastfeed. Not possible. They don't have mammary glands, the thing that are necessary to produce milk. But watching this ideology of this country slowly devolve over the years, the Constitution being worn away, the freedom of speech, the freedom of expression being taken away piece by piece, liberties, freedoms in this country that you should have that you no longer have. I mean, for God's sakes, we are supposed to be a free nation. We have more laws than most dictators or dictatorships in the world, believe it or not. You don't know how many political prisoners are in Russia right now? I guarantee you we have 100 times more here, which is ridiculous. We use arbitrary laws to sidestep the Constitution, to push our rivals or people that we're against into prison for obscure reasons. We do it. Hormone therapy will not let you produce breast milk. It won't. Never will. Can't grow mammary glands if you don't have them. You'd have to get them transplanted in, which is a whole nother freaking issue, and I'm not getting into that. Yeah, the Constitution is supposed to limit laws. It's supposed to limit the government. It's supposed to grant us true freedoms as citizens of this great nation. we see those rights or supposable Bill of Rights now being trampled on, like freedom of speech, which is the Bill of Rights is supposed to be God-given rights that no law can suppress, change, or avert. So why do we have now this whole Fourth Amendment garbage, violating, of course, our search and seizure, right to privacy and all this, because they're going to digitally license us, which is ridiculous. They'll be able to track our every movement, know exactly what we're doing and when. Yeah, freedom of speech as long as you agree with their views. No, that's not even true, Karen. Because if you agree too much with their views, they don't want you speaking either, because then you look like a radical. That's the problem. You're either radical or left or radical right. And either way, they don't want you talking about it. That just looks bad on them. They can't have that. They can't stand for that. Sad. It's sad that freedom of speech is only free if you speak exactly what they want you to say and exactly how they want you to say it. Massive amounts of homelessness happening in the U.S., more spending in a foreign nation on a war than our own country's people that are homeless, hungry, and hurting. But yet, our social welfare programs are failing. But if you look at your taxes, you pay a FICA tax, you pay a Medicare tax, you pay a Social Security tax. You pay taxes for social welfare programs, and that money no longer goes into those pools. All that money gets put into one big pot, and they spend it how they want. That's not why the taxes are there. Those taxes were voted on and set aside for those programs. If we truly set aside that money and use that money the way it was supposed to be used, Social Security wouldn't be having problems. We wouldn't have social welfare programs running out of money. It is sad to say our country is no longer what it needs to be. And it's time people stand up and do whatever you have to do to stand up. Yeah, special interest groups and everything else, but out of Americans' families. They don't want the family unit at all, because that's when people can realize stuff's happening. But God bless you guys all. God bless America. Hopefully, people get together and stand up already. If we don't stand up, we're not going to be ready. We're not going to be ready to do what we have to do when we have to do it. Freedom is, it's just another word if nobody does anything to defend it. Freedom is just like a joke. Our government acts like it's a joke. It's not a question now. We see it day by day. Delusion of freedoms happen every day. Nobody's standing up for them anymore. We still have political prisoners from January 6th that did nothing more than trespass if they want to count that as a trespassing crime. Why do we still have people in prison for trespassing for years without even a court date or a trial? Ask yourself that question tonight when you go to bed is, are you free? Name one true freedom you still have. And think about it deeply. God bless you guys. God bless America. Please, if you guys can afford to support us, please do. We definitely appreciate it. We definitely need it. It costs money to operate the show. So far this month, we have raised $25 from Tia. Thank you once again, Tia. We definitely appreciate that. But God bless you all. Every walk of life that facing new problems and new heartaches because of our country's problems and country's governance. Stay strong, stand tall, and be prepared. Something's going to happen before the 11th or on the 11th and 12th with this whole Russia-Ukraine situation, and it's not going to be good. We know what's coming. We see what's happening in Taiwan now. I mean, one way or another, we are faced with a scary, scary principle ahead of us. God bless you. God bless America. Good night.